Alright.
Oh, okay.
You're ready, sister, whenever you're ready to go.
Alright. Hi, guys. So, thank you for coming today. I was expecting a pretty big crowd. I'm glad you guys showed up. So, today we're going to talk about basically groundwork. I guess I could sum it down to that. So, essential movement that has become unessential in life, which we didn't realize. So, as children, you move around a lot, right? You probably move around a lot, right? And then, sorry, Kate moves around a lot too. That's okay. And then, as you get older, you go to school and they say sit down in your chair, don't move. And then you go to work and they say sit down at your desk, don't move. And then we stop moving, and then you say, oh, I'm getting old, I can't do anything anymore. I can't touch my toes anymore, I'm getting old. Or it hurts when I take a walk, I'm getting old. No, that's not why. It's because we stop moving, and then we're not used to moving. So then your body ages quicker than it should. If you keep moving your whole life, there are 80-year-olds who are still skiing and mountain climbing and doing all the stuff that you could do when you were a kid, but maybe aren't able to do anymore because you just don't move anymore. So we're going to be talking about the things that you can do to reestablish the movement patterns that you had as a child and that you should still have as an adult, and things you can do to kind of reset your body. And by reset, I mean get those original movement patterns back to the point where you don't have to try to do them properly. They just kind of come naturally again. Because they came naturally at birth, and they don't anymore. That's why when somebody says, do dead bugs, and you lay on your back with your arms up, your legs up, your head up, and you try to do opposite arm, opposite leg reaches, it's much more difficult the older you are and the more you don't move like that. So first, I'm going to talk about why it happens, why these things help. So our brain and our body has two hemispheres. So we have a left side of the body, a right side of the body, left side of the brain, right side of the brain. We need those to work together in order to function properly and move properly, and just things to work and make more sense in your brain and your body. So when you're not moving in different ways, when you're not using both sides of your body at the same time, then your body kind of forgets how to use both at the same time, and that's why all this balance issues and brain deterioration, actually, everything happens because of that. All kinds of things. So when we use both sides of our body, that teaches our brain to use both sides of your brain together, and connections start happening. So things start kind of coming together. Your brain actually gets smarter and your body gets stronger just from doing things that use both sides of your body at the same time. Some of those things include crawling, which is something we do in here a lot. It includes our dead bugs, where we do opposite arm, opposite leg, which I'm going to demonstrate all of these eventually too. That includes bird dogs, cross crawls, all kinds of things. Anything where you're using opposite sides of your body is included here. So, first, let's do some demonstration, okay? So, I'm going to start, and then I'm going to bring somebody out to demonstrate. Probably Nancy, since she's all ready for bear crawls. Okay, so I'm going to start with bird dogs because they are the beginning phase of, they're the lowest regression of crawling. So we're going to come onto all fours, eyes are up towards the wall in front of you. We're going to take your opposite hand, opposite leg, and reach it forward, keeping your body nice and still, and we're going to bring it back. then we switch, then bring it back. So we're using both sides of our body, both sides of our brain at the same time. A lot of people have a hard time with this. They might accidentally try to do both sides on the same, because that's what we're used to. We're used to moving things that way as we get older, and we need to work on doing opposite to get your body back to where it should be, where things like that come easy. So that's bird dogs. Does anyone want to volunteer, first of all, to do bird dogs? I'm going to pick someone if you don't volunteer. Kevlar, how about you? Come on. Bird dogs.
Why me?
Because you're pointing at Kate.
I've worked out twice.
Then you're an expert.
Yeah, exactly. Good thought, Connie.
Freemas, you should be doing these. Did you want to explain why?
No.
Sharon is asking me to do this because I usually do the same arm and leg at the same time. There.
Alright, so Kevlar here is going to do opposite arm, opposite leg up. Make sure your head is up, so your eyes are looking up towards the wall. So that's a common thing that people do, is they want to keep their eyes down because it's easier when you keep your eyes up. That, for one, it makes it harder, and it strengthens all of your systems, your vestibular system, your balance system, basically. It makes all those connections to where you have to balance. It makes balancing harder. All right, good job, Kenan. All right. So that's why we want to focus on keeping our eyes up during these exercises. It builds your balance, builds lots of strengths there. The next one I want to show you guys is dead bugs. So we're going to be on your back, arms up, legs up, head up off the ground. We're going to move our opposite arm, opposite leg towards the floor, but doesn't touch the floor. So this is not only moving opposite sides of the body and working everything together, but it's also working your core. So when we do that, we want to keep our arms and legs that aren't moving back straight up in the air. So we're not allowed to bring the other one forward. Your body wants to do that though, because that's what your body thinks you're supposed to do, moving the same things on the same side. So who wants to try dead bugs? This is a fun one. Laura, you're good at these. Let's go. Laura, some encouragement. All right. So when you do dead bugs, you're on your back, your arms are up, legs are up, head is up off the ground, and we're reaching the opposite arm, opposite leg. Good. See how her arm kind of wants to come forward, but she's not letting it. Good. Very nice dead bugs, Laura. You're a professional dead bug. All right, good job. That's good. All right. So that's the dead bug exercise. That one takes practice, and that's after you get good at your bird dogs. Dead bugs are a good one to go to. Yes?
Why do you think that that's harder to do than bird dogs?
Dead bugs are harder than bird dogs because you don't have something on the ground. You're not grounded. Since you're on the ground with your bird dogs, you're reaching up. The other ones aren't moving. You're only moving one thing at a time. The other ones are just your chair legs. They're not going to come out from under you. Whereas with your dead bugs, it's so easy to just move everything wherever it wants to go. You're also using a lot more core work in dead bugs. So.
That's
Yes.
a perfect rendition of mine.
Mine. So,
Nice.
we call it the windmill when I do it.
Perfect.
Sure, it serves a purpose too, right?
Sure what.
All right, so now we'll talk about crawling. So crawling is really important because it does the same type of things to your body. It uses both sides of your body at the same time. It's using your shoulders and your hips together so that everything is connected. It's tying your X together is what Tim Anderson says in a book, Original Strength. which means basically strengthening your core, giving you reflexive strength, gives you better reflexes. It connects everything in your body together with your brain. So it actually makes your brain smarter, your core stronger, your body stronger, and crawling is more of a strength exercise than bird dogs and dead bugs. So baby crawl is the first progression of crawling. Your knees stay on the ground, your hands are on the ground, your eyes are up just like in bird dogs, and we're just moving the opposite hand, opposite leg forward. So we're just crawling on our hands and knees, and we can go forward, backwards, we can go to the side as well. Making sure we do opposite, opposite, eyes always stay up. So that's the simplest version of crawling. Does anybody want to volunteer to demonstrate? Come on, Jerry.
You can go there for the other stuff too, so we don't.
Do what?
No,
So keep you
I'm
up there
letting
for the
them
other
do
stuff.
the easier one.
I like easy.
Okay. Alright, so we'll come into all fours. We're going to stay on your knees, eyes up, opposite hand, opposite leg moves. Good. See how his eyes are up and his chest is up? We want to keep that chest and eyes up to get your vestibular system working strong. Good, and we can go side to side. Alright, keep those hips straight. We don't want our hips to rock, which this isn't really much of a problem with baby crawling. Alright.
Nice.
Good job, Jerry. Very nice.
Thank you.
Alright, so the next one is our lovely bear crawls that everyone loves so much and came here just to demonstrate, right? So, bear crawls are the same thing as baby crawls. I guess I should face this way. Except our knees are now off the ground. So we're tucking our toes under, and we're going to bring the knees off the floor. Now there's lots of things that you can mess up with bear crawls. So this is a very important one to pay attention to lots of different things. Bear crawls are a super strength building exercise, so it's the same concept as baby crawls and bird dogs, but we're building lots more strength here. So we're going to come onto our hands and knees, eyes are up, hips stay low to the ground. So we don't want our hips up here, we don't want our legs straight, we want our knees below our hips, our hands below our shoulders, but knees are slightly off the ground. We're going to move opposite hand, opposite leg. We can go forward, oops, ignore that, I messed up. Opposite hand, opposite leg, we can move backward, we can move sideways, and other side. So, with that, there are lots of components. Keeping your hips still, making sure they don't rock side to side, making sure your hips don't come up, also making sure you're going opposite, like you just saw me mess up. That's a big one. People tend to, again, always want to do the same side. Keeping your eyes and your chest up, that works on your balance systems, your coordination, all kinds of things are tied into that. And then making sure that your core is squeezed tight, so we're building some core strength there. All right, who is our professional bear crawler? Who wants to bear crawl? All right, how about Riley? All right, why don't you try it?
This will be a natural for him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got joints.
Okay, so we're going to come onto our hands and knees, and we're going to lift your knees up off the ground. We're going to put your toes on the ground and lift your knees up, and we're going to move opposite hand, opposite leg. There you go. Good. You got it. Good job. So see how he's keeping his butt down. There you go. Look at that. You got it. one of the things we want to focus on. So he's actually doing really, really good. I was hoping that since he's never bear crawled before, at least you're fine, you can stop, sorry. Good job. So I was hoping that since he's never bear crawled before that he might mess something up so I could kind of point it out to you guys, like, hey, make sure this doesn't happen. But he did such a great job, there wasn't a whole lot to point out. So the only thing, his hips did start to rise just a little bit when he was going sideways, so they kind of start to come up sometimes, which his didn't very much, I was exaggerating. So you want to focus on keeping your knees close to the ground. So if you feel like your hips might be rising, you want to just bring those knees towards the ground, make sure they're close. So they tend to come up, just bring them back, knees close to the ground. Again, with bear crawls, we want to make sure that if you are starting to, because they are such a strength exercise, if they are starting to get tiring, we don't want to just start rocking the hips side to side because they're getting hard. We want to stop at the point where they're getting too hard and either baby crawl or just relax. Because they are something you have to build up to. So you want to start with bird dogs, and then baby crawl. Once bird dogs are easy, then once baby crawl is easy, then go on to bear crawl. If bear crawl is still really hard and you're still kind of super wobbly, your form just isn't great, go back down to baby crawl until it gets even easier and then you're able to bear crawl. So we never want to just progress for the sake of progressing. You want to make sure that you're ready to progress before you move on to the next one. Does that make sense? Make sure that your form is good. Otherwise, you're only hurting yourself. So that's crawling. I'm going to talk about some other things like rolling and rocking, but does anyone have any questions on crawling and crawling progressions? Yes.
Why is backwards crawl hardest to do? That's my experience.
Okay, so that's a good question. Backwards crawling and even side to side crawling are harder than forward crawling because, are we demonstrating?
Yeah.
Okay, because first of all, you're going backwards. We don't normally go backwards. You don't see people walking backwards all the time.
But sometimes.
Yeah, it's just not normal. So going backwards is harder in general. Same with sideways. You don't just walk sideways normally. But also, we're leading with the legs when you've always crawled leading with the arms. When you're leading with the legs, it's a little bit of a different story. You're not looking where you're going. Also, your eyes are faced forward, so your body kind of expects you to be going forward, but you're not. So it's just confusing. Are there any other reasons why backwards is harder?
So your brain's mixed up.
Yeah, you're confusing everything. It forces your brain to work harder. It forces your everything to activate and think like, what's going on here? What are we doing? We're not moving forward like I'm used to. So it has to get used to it and move backwards. Anything to add to that, Jerry? You got anything?
No,
Yeah?
ma'am.
Okay.
No, that was good.
What's an
Yeah, that's
average
just
time
something.
frame to accomplish that?
Huh?
What's an average time frame to accomplish that?
It depends on the person.
6
So-
months?
A year.
Give or take.
Really, it depends. That's actually a good question. If you aren't sure if you should progress to something else, so like with bear crawls, I would suggest starting with forward bear crawls and then moving on to forward and sideways, and then moving on to forward and backward and sideways, doing all three. I wouldn't just immediately start backwards bear crawling your first time crawling, just because you have to get used to it. You have to get the easy part down before you try the hard stuff. So I would say listen to your body. If you're going forward bear crawling and it's becoming easy, then try backwards. If it doesn't happen, just try like a few steps here and there. If you start to crawl backwards and you notice things are starting to get kind of funky, then just stop, try it again next time. Try to get a little bit further than you did the first time. So it takes time, and each person's going to be different. It depends on your activity level, your history, maybe injuries or mobility issues, things like that. So, but the good thing about crawling is that pretty much anyone can crawl at some point. So if you can't crawl at first, you can get there. It's not something, you're not lifting 100-pound weights or anything. You're using your body. So even if you can't bear crawl, you can always baby crawl, and that's the minimum that you need. You don't need to bear crawl. It's awesome, it's great, it builds strength along with everything else, but baby crawling is the least you can do. That's good enough right there. If that's all you can do, that's great. So, any other crawling questions? All right, cool. So next I'm going to talk about some other ways of kind of resetting your body, getting your body used to the things that it should be able to do but is no longer able to do. So when you're a baby, you start moving by moving your head, lifting your head up off the ground and stuff. Then we start kind of rocking back and forth, side to side. Then we start rolling over onto our stomach, rolling back over onto our back. And then after that, we start crawling and doing more advanced things. So we want to use that same basic, I guess, build up, the same steps, I guess, to get yourself where you want to be. So when we roll, we want to use our head and our eyes to help us, and we're going to use one body part at a time, because that's kind of how we start as babies. But there are actually several different kinds of rolling. You can roll any way you want to. The kind of rolling we do in here is called segmental rolling, and we use one limb at a time. So we only use right arm, then only use left arm, right leg, left leg. So with rolling, I guess this way would be best on the camera. So we'll lift up the head and the eyes and the right arm. We're going to look where we are going. We're going to roll it over and everything else flops. So we're only really using this arm and your head to roll. We do the same thing on each side. The body just flops. It's kind of just along for the ride. It's not actually helping your body roll. And what we want to do, since our body is capable of helping us roll, we want to let the rest of your body help yourself roll over, but we're not allowed to do that because that's too easy, right? We got to do things that we're not used to in order to get stronger. So does anybody want to demonstrate rolling? He already demonstrated, right? How about you demonstrate?
I'm not very good at it.
All right, Jessica, you're ready to roll, aren't you? Let's go. You ought to be a professional roller by now, huh? Yeah. So when you roll, you want to start out on your stomach, and we're going to lift up only the right arm and your head, roll it over, everything else flops. We roll back onto our stomach by lifting the arm, head, eyes. Good. So notice how she looks where she's going when she rolls over. So she looks in the direction that she's going to. Let's go ahead and take that left arm. So she's looking to her left and then rolling over. Her whole body just kind of flops over as she rolls. Let's roll back over one more time. All right, good. So, good job, Jessica. All right, so that's rolling with the arms. You want to roll with the legs too, give them a chance to do some work. So when you roll with the legs, you lift up the leg and roll it over. The rest of the body just comes and flops. Same exact concept, only your leg is moving here. We want to make sure that your arms, your torso are not helping, they're just along for the ride. Does anybody want to demonstrate that? Kate? Come on, you got it.
That might be a good example of what not to do here.
That's all right. We need examples of everything.
Are hands out or were hands out?
Arms are up. Yep. Hands are out just like that. It's a good question. So even when you're doing your legs, your arms are up overhead just like that. We're going to pick the leg up, lift it all the way up, roll it around. Everything else just kind of flops. Yep. Good. Just like that. Good job, Kate.
All right.
Very nice. So rolling seems very simple, but when you do it, it's actually a little bit harder because your whole body wants to work, and you're not going to let it. You're only letting that one arm or that one leg do it. The next one I want to show you guys is rocking. So rocking is a good way to reset your body because it brings you into motion, gets your shoulders and hips all working together, and keeps your core nice and strong. Well, it builds core strength. So rocking, we just rock the hips backwards towards the feet. Your toes are tucked under, and rock the hips past the knees. We're keeping our back nice and straight here, so we don't want the back to round like this. We want to keep it nice and straight. When we rock forward, we're keeping the back straight still. Our eyes and chest are up when we rock because the same reasons as before with bear crawls, we want to strengthen our vestibular system. We want to keep our balance in check, coordination, everything is tied to that. So when we rock, we want to keep our core tight, keep your hips where they, I don't want to say where they are, but we're not bringing the hips all the way into the floor. We're not sinking down into the floor. We're just rocking forward and backward. Hips come past the knees. Okay? Does anybody want to demonstrate rocking? See if I can give any pointers. Trevis? Let's rock.
Trevis.
Let's rock.
Let's rock. Rocking and rolling today. Alright, so when we rock, we're on our hands and knees, toes are tucked under, and we rock butt back towards the feet. Notice her back is nice and straight. It didn't round. There we go. Good. Good. Eyes are up, so we keep our eyes up to the wall in front of us when we're rocking. Good. Yep, that's good. Good job, Chris. Alright, so some important things when rocking, keeping your eyes up, your chest up, and her back was perfectly straight the whole time. It didn't round and it didn't arch. So that's great. Does anybody have any questions on rocking and rolling? Does anyone have any rock and roll questions?
What's your favorite band?
All right. Jerry, do you want to say anything in addition to anything that I said?
No, I think you did, no, I think you covered everything pretty well.
All right.
Definitely.
Good. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for listening to me and demonstrating, everyone who demonstrated. Thank you, guys.
Nice job. All right.
Thank you.
5 minutes. You guys want to use the restroom where you get Miss Trevi set up, and we'll be back in our seats. We're going to pull the table over here, and then we'll get going with her. All right?
Right.
We're a little ahead of schedule. Ready, break.
Yeah.
Drink time.
I am.
I can do it.
I know that feeling.